Hey, it's Mike here, and today YouTuber Hunter Avallone, who I remember for making this video years back, which by the way has nearly 1 million views now.
I don't like eating meat just because it tastes good. No, I like eating meat because I like that I'm actually eating animals.
Well, he is vegan.
Yes, the rumors are true. I have embraced the soy.
If you can't beef him, join him. That's why I'm not a comedian, but it just goes to show that people who were once anti-vegan jokesters can actually change their mind over time and go vegan. So we're gonna look at this interesting psychological process that happened. And I'm really not here to be like, haha, vegans won this one, blah-de-blah. No, I'm just usually the one to be highlighting these ex-vegan videos of the latest influencer who went carnivore. So it's nice to have a shift here, but I also want to mention a few tips really quickly for people who are just going vegan, which, you know, Hunter might get some benefit from, who knows. That'll all be in this pretty short video, so let's get it started. So yeah, it's been about 5 years since he made his original video making fun of vegans, which was, you know, just going over the typical vegan tropes and bashing vegans and that type of stuff. But this newer one, I don't think is gonna get 1 million views or near that. Now, the public generally likes watching vegans get made fun of because it makes them feel better about themselves and their dietary choices than a dude deciding to go vegan and why he went vegan. And I will say, his newer video, I originally thought he was just trolling and pretending to have gone vegan. He was first making fun of the trope of vegans always telling people that they're vegan.
It's been about, what, 5 seconds or so? Yo, did anybody forget that I am now a vegan, actually? It's just...
But then I was like, no, this is actually real.
Why does it need to stop at humans, when in reality, I want to make the world better for all sentient life?
So yeah, Hunter is actually doing something that I was not aware enough to do, which is just go outright vegan for the animals. It took me going vegan for health, taking the meat goggles off, and then realizing that animals do actually suffer, and that was the first time I really looked at that, so... In that sense, yeah, he's better than me. Even though he ragged on vegans to like 1 million people. He actually ties this into being pro-life. We're not gonna get into that at all, but just so you know where he's coming from anyway.
We're not just talking about killing sentient life here. We're talking about a massive industry that treats these animals so inhumanely, so disgusting. I have a feeling it would make almost anyone listening very uncomfortable.
It is just so interesting to psychologically contrast what he is saying here now, 5 years later, and all the stuff and the attitude he had in the last video.
Sometimes when I'm driving down the highway, I purposely run over squirrels just so I can pull over and eat them.
I could just cut back and forth between them and you know, really ream that original video, but there's absolutely no, like, that's not what I'm here to do. But he even starts hitting on a bunch of points that I regularly mention on my channel, like why going vegetarian isn't enough in terms of animal rights.
So when that baby cow comes out, the mother has a strong bond with that child.
He even touches on why it's a cop-out to say that an individual can't make a difference, and that's why you shouldn't go vegan, and on and on and on. So yeah, I was surprised. But I might as well nitpick a little. There was one little point that he made, which I'm gonna go ahead and respond to, and that was...
It does suck that vegan food is so much more expensive.
Yes, I think it's fair to say that value-added animal product replacements are generally more expensive than that generic cheap animal product that it was replacing. However, if you are actually to eat a diet of more whole plant foods and looking at the price of those staples like legumes and whole grains, those are really cheap. And as I've probably mentioned too many times, this family, for example, by going on a whole food vegan diet, saved enough money to take a family trip to Greece. Not too bad. And we even have some studies on this, as this one demonstrated. A plant-based diet only equated to an extra $1.20 per person per week. Wish it was newer, but pretty compelling. It says minimal change.
A $1 cheeseburger is way cheaper than buying some vegan food at the grocery store.
But another point that I've been thinking about lately is the notion that if you're poor, everything is really expensive, and that includes even cooking or learning how to cook and having to take the time away from work to do that, or just having the energy to do that after you've worked a ton. And to that I say, as sad as it is, it's sort of a pay now or pay later situation where you can go get the fast, cheap food, which is going to become medically expensive later, possibly lead to disability that will lower your ability to work, and on and on and on. So Pay now or pay later. So there is no right answer here. Poverty just sucks. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. Let's get back. But let's get to the question that I'm most interested in here, and that is what led to such a big psychological shift? What takes somebody from bashing vegans to all of a sudden making a video that you are a vegan? Right off the bat, I do read the comments that you guys post, so obviously feel free to comment. It also helps the algorithm. But every time I mention somebody who says they could never be vegan or are really harsh against vegans, a lot of you say, I used to be like that. I used to say I could never go vegan and that I hated on vegans really hard. But then over time, you just switched and now you're vegan. So the question is, what did it for him? Well, it appears that he's actually being held hostage by Earthling Ed. You thought he was so nice. You thought he was vegan Jesus. Well, no, I'm joking. He actually says this.
The kind of that goes on at the hands of the meat industry so that all of us can enjoy a cheap cheeseburger is honestly disgusting. And the more and more I learned about this, the more and more I personally began to feel repulsed by meat.
So could this really be a case of somebody learning more and more about the industry and more about what veganism is and how to do it, and then literally just becoming vegan because of that? Probably to some degree, and that makes me feel good because I've been literally making vegan information videos forever. However, I don't touch on ethics as much as probably things that he watched, but it's cool to hear. I'd be curious to know like what he was exposed to that changed his mind, but beyond that, it was probably also just easier for him in the current climate going, oh, it's actually easy to get vegan food around, and here he goes.
And even more so, vegan substitutes are continuing to get better and better, and that's because the market for vegan food is getting bigger and bigger because more people are going vegan.
I mean, he even mentions things like the Impossible Burger tasting pretty much like animal meat does. Just like I always mention Glenn Beck accidentally thinking that it was the real animal burger when it wasn't. But the people who are most at risk of stopping being vegan are the people who are just starting to try to go vegan.
Let me also say, I've only been vegan for a really short time, but already I feel significantly morally superior to all of you hoes.
So why not briefly touch on a few little tips, especially a new modern one that I have, which is sort of the ultimate sort of privileged classist point, but I feel like I need to mention it anyway because I haven't mentioned it, it's pretty modern, and that is so many people fail when they're at some social gathering, when they don't have food and they're really hungry and there's all this cheese and calorie-dense animal food around. And this is probably really obvious to some people, but you can just call up a Doordash from a vegan restaurant and have a vegan meal sent to you. Pretty much statistically, most people are going to be within the range of Doordash in urban populations. And yes, I know it is expensive to do that. And that's why I say, if you really care about going vegan, have this as like a rainy day Doordash emergency vegan fund of like $30 or so. I feel like it would be worth it. Heck, someone should start like a new vegan emergency meal dropping network where you can just like type in, hey, I'm gonna fail unless somebody brings me some vegan food. I feel like somebody would abuse. I'm gonna get on there and be like, I can really use some vegan ravioli right now. I'm gonna fail. And then let's just rapid fire my usual points, and that is make sure you get enough calories, and the best way to do that is to just hop on Chronometer for a day or two, free on the website, type in different foods, learn what has calories, what doesn't, and why you were ravenously hungry and probably craving high-fat animal foods after eating a meal of zoodles, which was like 200 calories. And a simple thing to prevent that is just always have vegan snacks on hand, or make sure you're not going to leave yourself hungry, which speaks to the Doordash situation. And finally, learn where you can eat. There's so many restaurants now as fallbacks if you don't want to be eating them regularly. You can go to Ashley Wicca's YouTube channel. She goes to all these different restaurants and just goes, this is how you can eat here as a vegan. In the end, it's nice to see that people can change. I definitely think it cuts both ways, though. I mean, a lot of random vegan influencers will go and become carnivores, which is frustrating to see. But in general, people are eating less animals within the Western populations like the US, thankfully. All right, that's it. Let me know down below if you were one of these people who was always bashing on vegans, making fun of vegans, and then over time changed your paradigm. What changed your paradigm? Why not share below? I'm curious. And as usual, feel free to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I'm about to burp, but before I burp, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.